All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
The goal of this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts. You know what all the cool kids are doing these days? Listening to podcasts. And what does Toxic Radio have? Podcasts, duh.
Just as I thought.
Go to toxicradio.net and check out our weekly schedule for the lineup of great shows. Miss any of them live? No worries.
Thank God, dude.
We're on all the top podcast platforms, or just find them at toxicradio.net or on the free app. The choice is yours. Be cool or not.
We're gonna be cool.
Toxic Radio. Get the podcasts
And get infected.
Got an idea for a podcast and think you have the talent to make it a reality? Already have a podcast, but been thinking you could take it up a notch, but you're just not sure how to do it? Well, Toxic Entertainment has everything you need to go from podcasting to podcasting. Bring us your talent, your passion, and your best ideas. We'll bring to the table our state-of-the-art technology and comfortable facility, creative and professional staff dedicated to bringing your ideas to life, competitively priced packages to suit your goals and budget, and over 10 years of experience as a leader in the podcasting field. Toxic Entertainment offers quality and affordability that can't be beat. When you're ready to start your journey, Toxic Entertainment is here to help you reach your destination. Learn more at toxicentertainment.net or call 888-66-TOXIC to arrange a studio tour. That's 888-66-86942. Toxic Entertainment, where creativity meets passion.
Welcome to Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. I am your happy host, the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. And to my right in the studio, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that came just one run short of a softball championship last night, Uncle Shally.
F you, Goody. F you.
Listen, solid effort. But we're missing one of the trio. He works for some communists that make him be at a work meeting at 9 o'clock at night, but no control tonight, so you'll just have to deal with me and Shally. We'll have a good conversation about the NBA Finals.
Don't you have some pull over this shit, dude?
What do you mean? I have no pull over it.
You're like head honcho Verizon guy.
Not at that market. That's a different market.
Clearly a bad one.
He shouldn't have moved.
9 o'clock staff meetings. It's ridiculous.
It is. I agree. But we have the NBA Finals, the NHL Playoffs. We got the College World Series. We got the Phillies just absolutely asinine. And we also got a little bit Khamzat Colby at the end, because I just want to.
Oh, you want to tease it?
I want to tease it.
All right.
I'm excited about it. But the biggest topic right now is the NBA Finals. So let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. We don't need to talk about Luka liability. We knew that series was over. We knew that series was over last week when it was 3-0. Yes, Dallas got a win, and then Golden State handled business at home.
Can we talk about how they just went at him, though?
Yes. Okay, let's start there then.
It was like, okay, like you guys won game 5, we're going to go game 6. And they were like, if you get the ball and Luka switches on you, drive to the hole. And they did it for 48 minutes, and Luka was embarrassed.
To be fair, they really only did it for 2.5 quarters. They stopped in the second half when they were on 15.
Because the game was over.
Luka liability on the defensive end. The problem with him versus Golden State is there's nobody you can actually put him on that he could stop.
No.
Like they tried with Wiggins. They're like, all right, you're going to guard Wiggins. And Wiggins had his best playoff series.
Wiggins is still too
ever.
athletic for him.
Can't guard Steph. Can't guard Clay. Can't guard Poole. Who's he going to guard?
No, I agree. I mean, listen, the knock on him always has been, And, you know, you heard it again this year as well. Like, they want him to get in better shape. And I'm not saying that's going to cure, you know, everything on him defensively. Like, he's got to stop. He's a little lazy on the defensive end. Let's just be honest about it. But I mean, you know, you have to deal with it. He's one of the best players on the planet. He needs to get in better shape. And I'd actually be a little bit scared if, like, Luka actually showed up next year 5-10 pounds heavier, but, like, cut. Like, in that kind of cardio shape to see what he could do.
He was a liability defensively.
He was, man.
For as many points as he scores on the offensive end, he allowed that many on the defensive end.
Like I said, you have to deal with him. There's nothing you can do. But that is kind of the one part. I mean, we've lived through it with the Philly stuff with Ben. The playoffs are so cutthroat, man. Like in a regular season game, like you're not going to go that crazy about it to like try to win a regular season game. You try other things that you'll set up down the road. Like the playoffs, it's really like, oh, you can't stop this. We're going to do it again and again.
I'll never forget that when we played Boston a few years ago, and they switched onto Marco Bellinelli every single play.
Yeah,
Ersan Ilyasova was sticking Jaylen Brown every play. I'm like, and whoever JJ Redick was on, they were just posting him up. Like we're gonna everybody get away and just let Marcus Smart post up JJ Redick.
It was bad, and then you had it last year with Seth too, and what's the kid's name from Atlanta?
Yeah, you're talking about the redhead.
Yes.
Yeah, he had like 23 points on.
Yeah, like it's
Kyle
Herter.
Yeah, Herter.
That guy.
Bum.
It wasn't that night.
No, he wasn't.
Literally, as soon as Seth came back in the game, they were like, "Give him the ball."
Give him the ball.
It was crazy. I mean, that's kind of one of the good things about playoffs. It's you don't do something well, we're gonna exploit it until you stop it.
Luka liability last night.
Luka liability.
Or not last night, last series.
This week.
But I really want to get into Boston versus Miami because I was wrong. I had said Boston would win that series in 6. I said it the whole time. They'd win it in 6. I was so shocked that they lost game 6 in their house. Jimmy Butler was like next level that game. 47 points. That dagger he hit in Tatum's face with 1 second on the shot clock. That little fall away after the timeout.
Yeah, the fall away 3 like on the sideline.
It was absurd.
I mean, listen, everything you saw in that series with Jimmy Butler is why everybody in this city loved him. Like that is the guy we thought we were getting, that we hoped that we did get, and we did get. I mean, obviously, he's the guy in Miami where, I mean, he even best case scenario, he was always going to be second fiddle to JoJo here. But, man.
I mean, if you could rewind the clock and just let's get rid of Brett Brown, let's get rid of Ben Simmons, and let's not re-sign Tobias Harris and keep Jimmy Butler.
It's not about, let's see, like, I know we've gone back and forth with the Toby thing, but, like, I look at it even this way. If you get rid of Brett Brown and you trade Ben at some point, are you telling me that Maxey, Butler, Toby, and JoJo can't win a championship?
They definitely can.
Because I'll take that bet.
But see, like, I don't need Toby.
I get it, but Toby's still a very good player, and you can still keep him. Then you're not dealing with Harden and Ben's gone. I don't care who the 5th player is at that point because it doesn't matter. Like that team can win a championship.
100%. You need shooting presence though. They'd stack the lane.
Jimmy
Butler's a minus 3-point shooter, even though he shoots well in big moments. Tobias Harris is a fair 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
You need a 2-guard that can shoot.
But at that point, you keep,
if that's your lineup,
you keep Seth Curry, or you keep like you fill somebody in that JJ Redick role at that point. Then
okay, that's fair.
And that's all you need is a 3-point shooter. Danny Green, he can be your 3 guy then because you don't need anything out of him but
hitting threes,
8 points a night. That's all I need.
Stretching the floor.
Stretch the floor. I need you to space the floor, keep people honest, like he was doing until he got hurt, until JoJo turned his knee backwards, and that's all you need.
Going into that series, you'd say to yourself, Jayson Tatum is clearly the best player in that series.
Agreed.
And then watching that series, you came out of it saying Jimmy Butler is clearly the best player in that series.
Agreed.
And like that's
what he is, though. He's
he has 5 40-point games in his career, and they're all in the playoffs.
What you want?
Or like in the last 4 years. I don't think it's a career. I think it's like the last 4 years, but they're all in the playoffs. Like his highest scoring games are all in the playoffs.
Well, you just touch on the other thing. Over the course of a year, he's right at the average for 3-point shooting, probably a little under in the playoffs. I don't think he missed a big one other than the last one.
one.
Yeah, which I mean, we can get into that.
We'll get into that in a minute, but Miami gave a hurt Miami team.
Yeah, not 100%. I mean, to be fair, Boston wasn't either. I mean, Marcus Smart wasn't healthy.
Yeah, but PJ Tucker, you had Kyle Lowry, and look, I'm shocked Kyle gave him what he gave him.
But yeah,
He still didn't play well, but I'm shocked he gave him what he gave him.
He gutted it though.
He played 2 games in that series where he was like a factor.
Mhm.
But game 7, you have Max Strus that's 0 for 9. It's just
They love Max Strus.
yeah,
I need to know what Duncan Robinson did something really bad.
No, I know what happened. I told you this already. In the Golden State game, that's the argument Jimmy Butler got into with PJ Tucker playing over Duncan Robinson because they kept they did Golden State was doing the exact same thing they did Luka, but they did it with Duncan. They kept just switching on him, and Jordan Poole was cooking him. If you watch that game, that's exactly what happened that game. And when PJ Tucker got in, Duncan Robinson got relegated to the bench because he couldn't play defense. And if you want to play basketball on that Heat team, you have to play defense. That's basically Jimmy's rule.
It's crazy. They just extended him too.
Yeah, they're going to trade him.
I guess.
And they're going to have to give up a first to get rid of him.
I was going to say, I mean, somebody absorbed that contract. That's
100%. But listen, nothing against Duncan Robinson. You're talking about a guy that was, undrafted, that basically made $90 million. He's fine.
Good for him.
He's good. But Miami versus Boston series was nuts in a sense that Jimmy Butler's willpower. Like even Eric Spoelstra said it after game 6, Jimmy wouldn't let us lose that game.
No.
He wouldn't allow us to lose the game.
He went into Boston and won. I'll be honest, when they lost game 5, I mean, we talked about it. I didn't think there was any shot they were going to Boston to win.
They were 9-point dogs in that game.
I thought Boston was going to close it out, and that was going to be it. We were going to, be on to Boston and Golden State. So, listen, Jimmy's on-court play, never been an issue, ever, with Jimmy Butler. It's the way he plays. You hear the nickname all the time, like he's a dog, and that's what he is. Like to beat him in the playoffs, you have to damn near kill him. And I just don't know how you don't want a guy like that on your team. That type of guy.
I wanted him. I was very clear about that.
Yeah,
I wanted him. I wanted Ben gone. I wanted Toby gone. I wanted Brett gone. And I hate putting Toby in that same category. That's not fair. Toby's nowhere near a big of an issue as Brett, Ben, Doc. Toby's still down below those 3.
I agree.
Let's talk about 2 things in that game and what your thoughts are on it. The first thing was the overturned Max Strus 3.
Awful.
You think it was terrible?
Yes.
I thought it was terrible too. When we disagree on something, I do I need to take the other side? Because we've agreed on everything so far.
I mean, it's a 90-minute show. We'll get there eventually. We're 11 minutes in.
But Max Strus's 3 should never have been overturned.
Agreed.
They reviewed it.
Here's the thing that infuriates me with all this stuff.
They called it a 3.
Well, they call it a 3. I mean, you called a 3. But when you watch the replays at home as a fan, they're looking at all the same things that you are. So this isn't like the old school days where they had secret angles. They use all the live cameras. So you're literally watching the same thing as people are in the war room. What are they looking at? I've seen it from 3 different angles. The dude's foot never hit the ground.
The only thing you can say is you can educated guess.
You're not allowed to do that.
Correct. But that's the only thing, that argument is you can educatedly guess that the right side of his foot was touching the line. But you couldn't see it.
If they originally called him out,
you couldn't overturn it. But they called it a 3.
It's like the college football replay. There's always a difference between the call's confirmed and the call stands.
Correct.
There's a difference. If they would have called it that way, and then you look at it, and then you're going to tell me we're not 100% sure
that his foot never touched,
and we're leaving it that way, fine.
They didn't call it that way.
Correct.
Eric Spoelstra said it perfectly. He said they need to do a review on that because that's absolutely absurd.
Correct. I agree. Reminds me of a call from the game last night. Won't get into that though.
I mean, we have plenty of time.
We might.
But with that being said, then the next thing we'll talk about is it's kind of twofold. Did you have a problem with the Jimmy Butler shot?
I'm probably gonna agree.
You have Al Horford on his back foot. He's his feet are in cement. It's 11-0 Miami run.
So this is where I'm at with it. I mean, I was actually talking to the guys at work about this as well. I'm not mad that it was Jimmy that took that shot. There's nobody else on that roster that's taking that shot from me other than Jimmy Butler at that point. If I'm Jimmy though, I don't know if I'm settling for that. I don't think Horford can guard you to the hole without fouling you.
100% can't guard you to the hole without fouling.
You don't need the three.
Well, 3 puts him up 1.
Puts him up 1. But if worst case you're at home and you go to overtime, I'll take my chances there.
But then you have to get a stop.
I get it. Yeah, but if you don't hit the 3, the game's over, which is exactly where we went. I would have liked Jimmy to maybe be more aggressive there and try to go to the hole, maybe pull up on, or do something like that. Because Horford can't guard him in that mid-range like that. So that is my only issue. If I was a Heat fan, I think I would have loved Jimmy to shoot something else or try to get something else. I'm not mad that Jimmy Butler's the one that took the shot, because if I'm in that huddle, not that it's a Michael Jordan type moment, but if you're the coach, you can't draw up a play for anybody other than Jimmy Butler in that moment.
And he couldn't get more open than that.
No.
There's he could have drove the hole and he probably would have got fouled.
Yeah.
And then you basically take your shot on him hitting 2 free throws. Right. But even if he hits one of the 2 free throws, you could still foul and you have another shot to hit that 3. With that being said, though, I don't have an issue with the shot. I don't care what ESPN's basketball index says, 29% chance of making a shot. If Jimmy Butler, they're on an 11-0 run. He hits that shot, I don't care what happens. Boston is not making a shot. Like, that series is over.
No, the roof was coming off that place if it goes down. And I don't want to hear about percentages of shots. Like, what do you think the percentage of the shot going in on the game 6 one was?
Oh, my.
I guarantee it was under 29%.
Way under.
So
that shot was absurd. You're talking about the one with Tatum in his face on the sidelines? Oh.
Yeah. Wasn't 29%. I promise you that.
Not at all. A fall away 3 with 1 second left on an inbounds pass with Jayson Tatum in your face. Go at 11%. How do you make that? How do they get those percentages anyway?
Just ESPN finding ways to spend money on dumb things, just like how they pay Stephen A. Smith $8 million a year. Same type thing.
Okay, so the 2 questions I have for you was, 1, did you have a problem with the shot?
No.
The second question is, did you see a chink in Boston's armor? And when I say that, like, let me follow. 11-0 run. They're up 14 with 5 minutes left, bro. 11-0 run, and Jimmy Butler has a chance to make it a 14-0 run with that shot. Mm-hmm. Marcus Smart, once again, was becoming their late game shooter. Missed 2 shots, layup. I don't understand what it is about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You understand, I've been on Boston every series, and I don't understand what it is about that team that Marcus Smart is their closer when he's not a good shooter.
I find it odd, especially when you look at how the frequency of which Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown shoot the basketball. I don't want to say they're afraid of the moment, but it's becoming sort of a trend. I mean, I don't know how, to your point earlier, going into that series, Jayson Tatum was the best superstar in that series. You want to be the next level, like you want to go to that elite of the elite level. That's got to be you going into the huddle and saying, "I want the ball." I mean, that's the one thing, fairly or unfairly, whatever side of the fence you fall on. That's the one thing that people get on LeBron about. LeBron, some people think LeBron's too passive in those situations.
Yeah.
Whereas, the person he's compared to all the time, Michael Jordan, he got in those huddles and people were like, all right, like, what are we doing to get Michael open? Because he's getting the ball. They're both still very young. I mean, I don't want to say they're afraid of it. I will tell you this. With the way, I know we're going to get into this next, but the way that series is likely to transpire, if you are counting on Marcus Smart to get you big buckets down the stretch against Golden State, you're probably in a lot of trouble. And
I think it'll be a lot easier we'll get into that in a second, because I have my thoughts on that series too. But I feel like you'll know after this series if Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are built for the moment or not, at least now in their career. I did not come away from that Heat series. I knew who the better basketball team was Boston the whole time. They're a way deeper team. They're a way better team. There's just way more talent on that side of the floor.
See, I wouldn't say I don't know if there's necessarily the better team. They're definitely the more talented team. I think.
Okay.
Like, not to bring it up again like last night, there was a more talented team and a team that maybe plays better together as a team.
Okay.
I think that's a similar comparison.
Okay. I think that Boston plays pretty well as a team. I just don't. I feel like the last 3 minutes of a game, it's a little different than it should be. Like Jayson Tatum needs to be that alpha dog. And like, bro, when you look at the stat sheet, like look at you only have to look at game 3, and to see when Miami won the game in Boston. When you see that stat sheet and Marcus Smart has more shots than Jayson Tatum, like what the hell happened? And then Tatum goes for 40 the next game off PJ Tucker.
That's why it's weird to me. Like it's weird to me, and not that you have to be this way, but just however you want to say it, the greats are this way. Jayson Tatum doesn't. I don't want to say it looks like he takes games off sometimes, but he's okay with being like the third option. Like there's games like you said, he's very passive and he'll take 11 or 12 shots, and then the next night he comes out and scores 40.
I think it's a confidence thing. I think if Jayson Tatum's hitting his shots early, he has no problem. I feel like if Jayson Tatum starts 1 for 6, he starts becoming passive, doesn't believe in himself. I feel like that matters more than, I don't think it's necessarily a passive thing until he starts missing shots. I think it really depends on how he starts, which is funny because like you could watch a game. Like, it'd probably be the easiest thing to bet on. Like Jayson Tatum's live line points scored.
Yeah, I get it.
Like if he goes 3 for 4, oh shit, let's go over 30.
Right.
Like, but if he goes 1 for 6, I'm going to go under 20.
There's definitely something to that. But there's also games where like he struggles to, and at the end of the night, like he still took like 30 shots. Like he guns sometimes. I think it's, he's definitely shown flashes. I think everybody would agree he's taken that next step this year. He's a bona fide superstar. I think he's got to work on his consistency, and I don't know if that's the way they're calling the game within the game, and trying to make sure Jalen's included, and Marcus. We all know how he can fly off the handle. And you're still trying to include Williams and Horford and people like that.
What do you consider a superstar? Top 10, top 20, top 30?
Like,
because you said he's a bona fide superstar.
Do you not think he is?
I don't know. It depends on what your definition of superstar. I don't think he's top 10 in the league.
He's not top 10. That's literally what I was just going to say. I would say if you consider top 20 to be superstars,
then he'd be a superstar.
He's a superstar, and he's probably towards the lower end of that.
Lower end of top 20? Like, you mean higher end of 20? Like 11, 12, 13, 14?
Like 15-ish.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I was going to, literally, if you said top 10, I was going to play a game of Jayson Tatum and see where it came, but we don't need to do that if you have him around 15, because that's kind of where I have him.
Sounds kind of fun, though.
We'll play it?
Let's play.
All right. So just for one series and one series only, because it's not really fair if you go for the career, because age becomes part of that.
Well, yeah, because then, cumulative numbers become a thing.
So we'll go real quick through the first few, because it should be easy.
Okay.
Jayson Tatum or Joel Embiid?
JoJo.
Jayson Tatum or Joker?
It's Joker, but that's probably closer than people would like to
I like how you, I tried setting them up there. Jayson Tatum or LeBron James?
Now LeBron?
Yeah.
I'm still going LeBron.
Same. Obviously Giannis, Luka, Steph.
They're all givens.
Okay.
So
Jayson.
You're like 7 or 8 already.
I'm at 6.
Okay.
Jayson Tatum or Ja Morant?
That's a little body work. I'm taking Ja.
Okay. Jayson Tatum or Devin Booker? I'm starting to get in a range where I skipped a few intentionally.
Booker's tough. I'll go Tatum.
Okay. See, I don't think I've disagreed with one that you said yet. Okay, let's go Jayson Tatum or Jimmy Butler.
I'm going Butler.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Well, going into that series, you might have said that.
Well, I mean, listen.
Jayson Tatum or Durant, Jayson Tatum or like.
But listen, that's one of the reasons I was high on Miami. And again, I wouldn't have argued with you on paper that Boston is definitely the better basketball team. But Miami is that gritty team. Like Miami is that team. Like, oh, like we kicked you. Like you're not going to get up now. Like no, Miami's team, like, you have to stand on the throat and 5 minutes later come back and make sure they don't have a pulse. Because if they do, they're getting up. They're getting up and they're going to get back in your face and they're going to fight. And that, to your point with Eric Spoelstra, so much of that is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's getting huddles like, if you quit, you're coming off this effing court and you're not getting back on, because I'm saying you're not. Like, why is he not a Sixer?
There's a lot of reasons why. I'm going to give you 3 more, and then
right.
we'll see where we land up.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Jayson Tatum or Anthony Davis?
You know my thoughts on Anthony Davis.
I know. That's why I asked you.
It's Jayson Tatum.
I don't know, bro. Anthony Davis healthy?
It,
Are you saying like taking health out of it or taking health with it?
take LeBron away from Anthony Davis. What's your answer?
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was doing 47 and 15 without LeBron.
Not
He was
winning.
going nuts on the Pelicans.
And not winning anything.
That's fair, but
I'll take Tatum.
You'll take Tatum?
I'll take Tatum.
Okay. Jayson, see, I know your answer to this one too. Jayson Tatum or Kyrie Irving?
See, my disdain for Kyrie as a human being, like, weighs in on this. As a straight up player,
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
like, just strictly what he does on the court, like, you don't have to deal with any other BS.
Yes, obviously.
That's tough. I'll go Kyrie.
I'll go Tatum.
All right.
I would go Tatum there.
I'll go Kyrie. Kyrie's still a killer when he's right.
Got one more for you.
You save this one for last for a reason.
No.
All right.
No. Jayson Tatum or Dame Lillard?
Yes, you did. That's BS. That's such a setup. I'll whatever. I'll go the homer pick. I'll represent Cottrell. I'll go Dame.
I'm going Tatum. Respect it. By the way, Brandon Fitzer says Chris Paul drains that 3.
No, he doesn't. That's my dude from work, Brandon. Brandon's just trying to start shit. Just stirring the pot. Enough, Brandon. Enough.
Travis says Ronda Rousey in less than 2 rounds via KO over Gene Walzak.
I don't think she wins by KO. I'll give you that. I don't think. Yeah, I think she gets.
Or I'm just dead tired.
Yeah,
just
like
pass out.
Yeah, like either
It's TKO.
either submission or cardio failure.
Cardio failure.
One
I
or the
like
other.
cardio failure.
One or the other.
Dame versus Tatum. Dame Dollar versus Tatum. That's what Fetzer said. All right, so let's get in the NBA Finals.
All right.
You have. See, I have such weird thoughts on this series. Let's start with just the coaches.
Okay.
Who do you prefer as a coach here? Steve Kerr or Imeke Udoka?
I want Steve Kerr,
Okay, so
but I will say this.
I was trying to set something up.
All right. Well, a lot of people would have you believe that the gap between them two is like the Grand Canyon,
It's not.
and it's not.
The reason I asked that question is because I feel like this series is dictated by if Boston can have a big lineup on the court that does not allow Draymond Green on Tatum this entire series. So like let me just give you an example, right? If Boston plays Marcus Smart, Jayson Tatum, Robert Williams and Al Horford.
Yeah. I mean, that's
You
their starting
can't-
5.
But you can't put Draymond Green on Tatum in that situation because Klay Thompson's not sticking. Robert Williams is going to have a million dunks. It's like Wiggins would have to stick Robert Williams in that situation. That wouldn't work. Wiggins is going to be the primary defender on Tatum in this series.
I don't disagree. I think the problem is
We're talking next level basketball at this point. I'll tell you why in a minute.
But this is going to be the cat and mouse game within the series
100%.
because Boston can afford to play that offense or that rotation, that lineup offensively.
But they can't.
They're going to get torched on the other end.
Absolutely. And 3 points are more than 2.
Yeah.
So if Golden State's hitting their shots, Boston 100% has to move Tatum to the 4.
Yeah, Boston has to come out of that lineup real quick.
Horford has to be their 5.
Yep.
And then they have to go small and to be able to match the def lineup.
Yep.
Because you don't need, like, Horford could easily guard Draymond. You don't have to worry about that. And then you could play 4 athletic players. Boston matches up better with Golden State than any team in basketball. And I'll explain why. All 5 of their starters
if they
got to vote
if they can get comfy playing that way.
All 5 of their starters got a vote for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But Robert Williams has been one of your best defenders all year, and you're not going to be able to play him in the series.
Probably not. No.
You're going to have to play Grant Williams.
You're not going to be able to start him.
You're going to have to be able to play Grant Williams, and you'll have to play Smart, Tatum, Grant Williams, Smart, Brown, Tatum, Grant Williams, and Horford. That's the lineup that you'll see the most for Boston.
My problem that I feel like with Boston is, and this again gets into the mentality and the psyche of the game. Golden State is very comfortable playing a 130 to 122 game. It's not what Boston wants to do.
No, not at all.
Golden State will run up and be like, cool, you'll get your 2, and we'll run down the court and shoot a 3. Golden State is super comfortable doing that. Boston cannot be in that mode. Like, Boston can't get to the point where they have to start chucking up 3s to stay in games because they'll get blown out. They'll absolutely get blown out of the gym. And I think that's, it's a very valid, interesting point you brought up. That how they match their rotations and what kind of lineups they want to go to and stuff like that is a big thing in this series.
I thought I've broken down this series way more than I'd like to admit to people. Like, I've literally looked at it to see like how it would work each way. Like, Marcus Smart has to hold Steph Curry under 25 points a game. Like, Steph Curry has to average 22.5 points a game for Boston to win this series.
I don't know if that's even enough. I mean, I agree with you.
And you got to hope Clay and Wiggins don't go nuts.
That's what I was going to go to. And you can't have the games where Jordan Poole comes off the bench and scores 25 either. If all those things like routinely happen, Boston has no shot, like none.
When Golden State goes def lineup, Draymond at the 5.
Yep.
And you go Wiggins at the 4, Clay at the 3, Poole at the 2, Steph at the 1. That is so much fun to watch. It's actually the most fun basketball I've ever watched, is watching those 5 rotate the ball and how so many people run to that 3-point line and how Draymond is like the center of a gravity, like just firing, setting picks, rolling. It's really fun to watch.
People don't realize. I don't want to say people who follow basketball realize how integral he is to running that offense. The casual fan is not. Everything he does on the offensive end is done for a reason. It's to either get this guy open, to make it look like we're trying to get this guy open, but we're really going to reverse the ball and go there. And then the guy that comes around, runs baseline and comes back around another screen that you don't think is getting the ball, he's now wide open for a 3. And everybody on their team could shoot him.
And the funny thing about Draymond is he'll drive to the hole with more intention of passing than shooting. Like, one of his biggest strengths is his ability to drive, jump towards the basket, and hit an open 3-pointer.
He's a very adept passer of the basketball.
I actually, it's funny because Quinn Snyder said this earlier in the season. He said, I think the MVP of Golden State is Draymond Green. Now, I think he's nuts for saying that.
But it's not as far-fetched
as people would think it would be.
Correct.
So, before we get into player breakdown, who do you think wins this series and how many games?
I am going with Golden State, and I am going with Golden State in 5.
I think that's crazy.
Okay.
I think that's absolutely insane.
All right. I think the big moments, again, I this is the first time any of those players are going to be in this light. I think with Clay coming back, they're going to get Gary Payton second back as well.
That's actually a lot bigger of
it is
because of his defensive presence.
Again,
when they want to lock up,
you're talking about when Draymond's on the you can afford to almost put him in and let him run on Tatum, on a rotation with Steph, Clay, and Wiggins, or Steph, Clay, and Poole. Like, it's a small lineup, but I mean they can guard it and they can still shoot. I think at the end of the day, Steve Kerr's been here a lot of times. I think all the stuff that Golden State's gone through the last couple of years with Clay's injuries, with Steph's injuries, with COVID, every other damn thing. Home court advantage, I wanted to say this earlier. Boston is either 4-4 or actually has a losing record at home, or like 500 or 1 game under the last two rounds. I don't.
You're talking about versus Milwaukee and Miami.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind.
So they're 1-2. They were 1-2 versus Miami, and I think they were 2-1 versus
so
Milwaukee.
So they're 500.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind Golden State can go in there and win a game. And if that happens, that means you have to win 2 at Golden State to win the series. And I don't see that happening.
Sorry, they were 2-2 versus Milwaukee and 1-2 versus Miami.
So they're under then.
They're under.
Yeah. So
I apologize. I just redid the whole series.
I knew it was something close. I'd heard the stat. So to me, that's what it boils down to. I think Golden State has too much firepower. And I just think
I feel like I'll know a lot more after watching game 1, so it's very tough to predict the series because I really want to see the adjustments. To me, the lineups are everything. It really matters how many minutes Kevon Looney plays. I'm not kidding when I say that.
Yeah.
Kevon Looney's got to play under 17 minutes in a game.
If they can get that 17 to 20 and keep him out of foul trouble and everything else, I mean that's a bonus for them.
Because he's a rebound machine, but I think that you want Poole to have those minutes. You want Gary Payton the second to have those minutes. It sounds funny because you're rotating a guard for a center, but the truth is you can run that Draymond, Wiggins, Clay front court.
Yeah.
You can run that.
Yes.
And if you run that, the biggest argument will be Boston will have the advantage on the rebounds. But if you're telling me 36-year-old Al Horford and Robert Williams are going to be the X factors in the series for them to win, I'll put my money on Golden State then.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what you're doing by Boston would try to match that by going bigger and dominating in the paint. But the truth is, Al Horford is going to get spun into so many pick and rolls to where he's going to have to be trying to guard Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, because all Draymond has to do is run one screen.
Yeah.
And Robert Williams is caught up in that. He's not fast enough to keep up with any of those guys from the outside.
No, he's a very good rim protector. He can't be out on the perimeter.
Boston's got to pray that Golden State isn't hitting their shots.
Yeah.
The point, though, is I think that so let me give Brad Stevens, the executive, a lot of credit. A lot of credit.
Yeah.
Dumped the Kemba Walker contract, got Al Horford back in there. I think that they did a phenomenal job of getting everybody situated. I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name they got from San Antonio. Derek White. Derek White
was a steal.
100%. Derek White has to play a lot of minutes. If you look at what Boston did in that Game 6 and Game 7, they ran a 7-man rotation. They didn't run even 8 guys. People talk about Boston's depth constantly. They ran a 7-man rotation. And that to me tells you who the coach trusts. I just pulled it up just for the shits and giggles. Right now, hold on, get the box score right here. Pritchard played 2 minutes, but they basically ran Tatum, Horford, Williams, Smart, Brown, Grant Williams, and Derek White. And that was it. The last basically 2 games of the series, they're the only 7 players that played. Robert Williams played 15 minutes in Game 7, scored 2 points. Grant Williams played 30 minutes. So you're going to have to run Grant a lot more than Robert. Robert was your stopper of Robert Williams did a great job slowing down Bam Adebayo.
Mm-hmm.
But in this series,
still had his moments, but yeah.
In this series, I just don't think that he's I don't think they can play him much. You got Warriors in 5 on here. Who else we got? On paper, it's a Grand Canyon size mismatch. It's in reality, it's not a wide margin. Warriors in 5. Wiggins wins the MVP.
Wow.
Dante said no Cottrell. Cottrell is at a work meeting, so he will not be here tonight. Sorry. I know Cottrell's the popular one of the 3 of us, so I miss Cottrell. I'm actually shedding a tear right now for him.
Just kidding.
Love me some Cottrell. But all right, I'll go. This is really tough because I've ran this through a few times.
My prediction was what it was or something else. I'll let you go first, but there wasn't an in between for me.
I think it's Warriors in 7.
That was my other choice. I didn't think the way I kept running it through my head, I didn't think there was any way it ended in 6. So I was either going Warriors in 5 or Warriors in 7, and I'm sticking with 5.
My second pick would be Boston in 6.
That's interesting.
Like if you were like, all right, Warriors in 7 or Warriors in 5, Warriors in 6, it would be Boston in 6. I think it's actually really interesting. 2 things. The spread opened up for game 1 is Golden State minus 3.5. A very Boston spread. It's in Oakland.
It is. It's also a very protect our asses type of spread.
You think Boston's going to win? You don't want to have a high money line?
Correct.
I get it.
So I think that's a feel it out and see how everything goes. And then if Golden State comes out tomorrow night and shoots well, and then it's a 15-point win or something, the odds are going to shift dramatically for game 2. I mean, to win the series is only 160.
Yeah. No, I seen that. I think it's a lot closer than people give credit for. And, the ESPN Power Index, 83% chance that Boston wins the series.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's wild, right?
Yeah.
Never seen anything like that. So let's go player for player, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
All right, so we have Kerr over Udoka.
Yep.
This one should be pretty easy, but I'm just going to go matchup.
Okay.
Steph Curry versus Marcus Smart.
Steph.
Klay Thompson versus Jaylen Brown. That's the biggie. That's the big one right there.
It is the biggie. I'll take Klay's consistency.
I'll take Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
Jayson Tatum versus Andrew Wiggins.
It's Tatum.
I'll take Tatum.
Yeah.
Draymond Green versus Robert Williams.
Draymond Green.
I agree. And then Al Horford versus Kevon Looney. I'll take Al Horford.
Yeah, Horford by a small margin.
And then bench, I will take Golden State by a large margin.
Yes, by landslide.
People talk about Boston's depth, but I think that Kuminga is going to play. Yeah. Gary Payton's going to play. Jordan Poole's going to play. They're going to run 8-9 deep.
Jordan Poole damn near plays 30 minutes a game at this point. So
correct. You could easily, I could easily do that breakdown a different way and have Klay as the forward going against Tatum, and then have basically Jaylen Brown going against Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I mean the Jaylen Klay one is the most interesting one because I think it's the closest.
I think they stick each other the whole series too.
I like Klay's consistency when I say that. I think his level of play, maybe not always his shooting. I think if at the end of this series, you look at Jaylen's point production, it'll probably be more level than Klay's. But I also like that with Klay. Klay can go out and score 40 in the blink of an eye, in a very short amount of.
Who do you think will average more points in the series? Klay or Tatum? Or Klay or Brown? Brown?
It's probably Brown, and that's my point. But I think within that, like I could see Brown scoring between 24 and 28 every night, and Klay will probably have like a 13-point game or something. But then he'll also turn around and have a 44-point game.
To be fair, I think there's 4 guys on Golden State that can average that can score 30 points. I think there's only 2 on Boston.
You're 100% right.
No, that's the issue.
I agree.
That's why I ultimately leaned Golden State in 7. But I promise you, this is as much on the fence as you will ever see me in a series. I normally have a very, very strong feeling about it. I have no strong feeling about the series. I could see it going both ways. I think the entire world is going way too crazy saying Warriors, Warriors, Warriors. I think Boston's got a real shot at winning this series. I think it'll be a great series. I think it goes 7. I think that's what's best for the NBA too. You can throw Scott Foster in there. Scott Foster is 6-0 for the in Celtics games for Boston.
That is an interesting tidbit.
All right. But he'll be refereeing at least 2 games. At least 2.
Yeah, I mean I'd say he'll probably get him in the Boston games, but I don't. I'm assuming they probably release them.
They don't release them until the morning of 9 a.m. the morning of. They keep it for whatever reason. I think it's betting or threats or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But they release at 9 a.m. the morning of the game.
Because the mob can't make a phone call, I guess, at 9 a.m.
Correct. But with that being said, let's move forward. NHL playoffs, and I wanted to. We haven't talked much about puck. But what I've said about Colorado before this playoff started has been pretty spot on. Now, I will say, I said they wouldn't lose more than one game in a series. They lost 2 to St. Louis.
Yeah.
St. Louis played them as well as you could possibly play them.
St. Louis played them really well, lost their goalie. People also need to realize that before Tampa Bay went back-to-back, St. Louis was your Stanley Cup champions. They're a very good hockey team with a very good coach who happens to be an ex-Flyer.
Well, last night, Colorado won an 8-6 game, lost their goaltender again for the second time this playoff series.
Darcy Kemper's health status is going to be a big question mark going forward. Not saying they can't win the series without him. His numbers are a little bit inflated because, again, you if you watch the game, you see who plays in front of him. He's not a Vasilevsky or Shishorkin, like guys like that, where they're going to let up maybe 1 goal a game. He'll let up, his goals against average is up towards 3. He had 36, 37 wins or whatever it was because he just plays on the best roster in hockey.
But like last night's a game that Colorado has to lose, and they win 8-6.
I agree.
They score and they have 6-7 guys that can shoot the puck on net, high 70s.
It's literally more than that. They legit have 3 full lines that can score. And when I say
score the best of them.
And when I say score, I don't mean score like a goal like every 3 games. Like they have a third line that'll go out and score 2 or 3 goals a night, depending on who their matchup is. They're just that deep. Edmonton's a deeper team than people like to give them credit for. You obviously have the big line with Connor and Draisaitl.
Tell me he hasn't taken like the biggest step to being the greatest hockey player in the world.
I mean, honestly, he really hasn't. I mean, if you just haven't been paying attention for the last 3 years, like he's just still doing the same thing. He's more on the bigger stage this year because Edmonton finally got their shit together and they're in the playoffs.
That's the point.
They weren't in the playoffs for any of his doing. Like,
I understand that, but like you have to do it. Like you're not the great one until you do it in the playoffs. You're not.
Again, and Gretzky's in that same lineage of a Michael Jordan. He did everything you'd want to from a numbers point of view, and then he won. So that is what makes you a great. That's what makes you put you in the GOAT status if you do both.
Bro, he literally won that series versus Calgary by himself.
He had a very good series. I mean, listen, I think the bigger thing there with Draisaitl taking the big steps he's taken in the last 2 years has helped. It doesn't have to be just the Connor McDavid show every night now. They have a second line that's scoring now.
Scored 6 goals last night.
Their Achilles heel all year though has been goaltending, and they've gotten away with it because they've played teams. Calgary was a little bit more of a defensive team than people think they were. They didn't exactly have the firepower to go up and down the ice with Edmonton. Colorado does.
They won the first game versus Calgary 9-6.
Yeah. So,
that was wild, bro.
Yeah, until you watched last night, and you're like, huh, this is wild.
14 goals in multiple playoff games. Is that like the first time ever? 14 goals in 3 different playoff games this postseason.
It could be.
I've never seen that.
It's definitely not.
I haven't looked it up to check. Maybe somebody can stat line hit me up, but
somebody go on Elias. I will tell you this: it's definitely not 1994 hockey.
No,
I promise you that.
No.
Listen, that series.
Where I think it gets really interesting is if it plays out the way I think it'll play out. But I got to we'll get into the Eastern Conference in a minute. But where I really think it'll get interesting is if you get Colorado, Tampa Bay. Because it's like the unpenetrable force versus the immovable object. Unstoppable force versus the immovable object. You
know how hard a three-peat in hockey is, man.
Bro, Tampa Bay is...
Listen, this is what they do every year, man. They get in, and then all of a sudden, like Stamkos looks like Stamkos from 6 years ago. Vasilevsky had a shaky first round against Toronto, and everybody's like, "Oh, like he's a little bit off." And then now he looks like Vasilevsky again. You can't score on him. He went to a game 7 and stopped 43 or 44 shots. They're playing like Tampa Bay, man.
1-1 right now.
So I saw it was 1-1 after 1. Yeah.
Stamkos scored again.
Yeah, there you go. I will say this: I heard somebody talk about saying Colorado needed to win last night to win the series, whereas Edmonton didn't. And I was talking to our boy Tom Campbell, and he actually said the same thing. I didn't like preempt that. Like I asked him before our series started last night. I was like, "Who do you think wins tonight?" And he said he's like, "I think the teams are closer than people are giving them credit for." People are assuming Colorado's going to steamroll them. I don't think that's going to happen. And he said, if I had to pick a winner tonight, he's like, I pick Colorado. He's like, but I think Colorado has to win tonight. He's like, if Colorado loses tonight, he's like, I think they're in trouble versus Edmonton could lose tonight and still win the series. A lot of people that believe that. I still think Colorado's a better team. Darcy Kemper's the big question mark now. They're saying upper body. He came out for the second period.
He tried to go.
Played 3 minutes and they yanked him.
First stoppage.
So hockey is allowed to be extremely vague with their injury reports, which is kind of funny. It's an upper body injury. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Is it he hurt his shoulder? Does he have a really bad bruise? Like, I don't know what it is. So I'd be really curious to see morning skate tomorrow if he skates. Just low impact stuff if he plays. We'll see.
It's not low impact with playoff hockey if he plays.
No, but I mean, their morning skates in playoff is the equivalent of like a walkthrough for basketball. Like, they don't do anything physically taxing.
No, I mean, like,
playoff.
I don't think if he can't.
Oh no, like if he can't take shots and like actually like, sit in there, then yeah, he's not gonna play. It'll be interesting, but I mean, again, Edmonton still has the same issues they do. Mike Smith has been shaky all playoffs long. He's gotten away with it because Edmonton can just outscore people. They're playing the one team that is a little bit better at playing the style that they play.
I think Colorado's going to outscore them a lot. I think that it's wild. I've never seen over-unders as high as they've been in hockey. They had over 9.5 the other night.
Yeah, most hockey games, like tonight, like
5.5, 6.
To compare it, the Rangers Tampa Bay game tonight was 5.5. 5.5, 6, and once in a while, if you see like Colorado playing like Arizona, you'll get like a 6.5. But they are. It's going to be an exciting series. It's just great hockey. It was crazy because I kept checking the score during our series, and every freaking time I checked it,
goal.
There was another goal. Like the one time I checked it was 1-0. I checked it probably half hour later.
3-1.
It was 3-2.
Yeah,
and I was like, Jesus. And then I checked after that, it was 6-4. And I was like, all right, that's going to be like the end of the game. And then I literally checked it after we finished, and I was like 8-6 with a minute to go. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
So let's move over to Eastern Conference.
This is more of the chess match.
Tampa Bay was dominant last round.
Yeah.
The Rangers won a 7-game series versus a very game Carolina team.
Yep.
What do you like in this series? Before you say anything, because you're a lot more versed in hockey than I am, but does New York not seem to you like a team of destiny in this hockey playoffs? Like, it just.
Actually, if you want to tell me there was a team of destiny, I would argue that it's Edmonton.
Yeah, that's fair.
But New York would be right in that conversation. Listen, to your point, New York is doing that cliche thing that you need to do to win a Stanley Cup. You need to find a win. You need to find a way to win games that you shouldn't win, and they're doing that. It starts in back with Igor, their goalie. He's probably going to win the Vezina this year, best goalie in the league. He had a shaky series against Pittsburgh. He actually got pulled twice in that series. People don't remember that. Then he came back last round against Carolina, and games 4 through 7, he was minus the one game. I think Carolina won the game like 4-1 or something like that.
They won game 5 4-1.
Yeah. So
then they lost game 6 5-2 and lost game 7 6-2.
In their win,
and neither one of those games were
no. And the one thing you'll notice about them, if New York wins games, he's usually stellar. Like, he's usually lights out. I'm leaning Tampa Bay because I think the goalies are almost equal. Defenses are close. If you go offense, Tampa Bay just has more guys that can score. They're not relying they have Stamkos, they have Kucherov, they have all those guys.
I'm selfishly, I want to see Colorado and Tampa. I think it's the best two teams in hockey right now.
I don't think you can go wrong with whoever comes out of the West. I think Colorado's the better team, but if you get the storyline of Connor finally getting there, they're going to pump that to high heaven.
They should.
Tampa Bay plays a more exciting version of hockey. New York has some old school in them. Their goalie, good defense. And they'll scrap their way in to try to score in, 2, 3. If they get to 4, then you're probably going to lose because Igor's not going to let up four goals. Tampa Bay is more of a free flowing team. They like to skate a little bit more. They're not as reliant on dump and chase. Tampa Bay versus Edmonton or Colorado is definitely the better matchup. But again, if you get New York in it, you're gonna have the New York market, so that'll go nuts as well.
Agreed. All right, so I guess we'll see. We'll talk a little bit more about it next week. I want to see Colorado versus Tampa. You know my opinion. I wanted to take a minute because I just got 5 minutes to do it, but the match is all square.
Through what?
7.
So they're barely halfway done.
Brady Rogers won the first 2 holes, and then Mahomes and Allen won 5 and 7.
Nice.
Or 4 and 6. 4 and 6.
All right. I recorded it, so I'm gonna watch it.
I should stop talking about that.
No, that doesn't matter. I'm gonna see it before we get home anyway.
Yeah. So I think that that's fun. What pairing would you like to see for future the matches?
Oh, that's an on-spot question.
I did. No prep here.
Um,
Doesn't have to be like because it could be golfers. It could be non-golfers like they did this year. Do you like the fact that they went with 4 non-pros? I don't either.
I don't. I like it because it's more of a strategy type thing. Like the best one to me ever was when Phil was with Barkley because he was like, "You do all these things incredibly badly. I just need you to do this, and then I'll figure out the rest." Like that was the best. Like that was the best to me. I like when it's a pro and an athlete versus the same. Like those when like Phil was versus Tiger. Like those are the best ones in my opinion.
I want to see a pairing again though, like kind of like Bryson and Rogers versus Brady and
Brooks.
I want to see a pairing,
which is what they should have done. But that was just so that was such like a hot skillet thing. They were like, we just have to get you 2 on the same course.
Of course.
And Brooks spanked that ass. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I want to get away from football too, to be honest.
I mean, Steph Curry's a hell of a golfer.
He's already been on it though.
That's fine. I'm asking you.
Steph's a very good golfer.
Give me a pairing.
I think, man. I'm trying to like. Because the tough part is you need to like right now. If you'd have asked me, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to know anything else. Trying to think who has like beef.
Oh, you want people that have beef?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes it better. If you're not giving me Tiger and Phil with like funny partners, like a Barkley type thing.
I want 2 professional golfers and 2. Like I love when they do the best ball thing.
Yes,
I thought that was the best.
It's the easiest to watch too. So I'll go my pro golfers. I'm going to pick 2 people that haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll do all 4 people that haven't done it.
All right. So give me my pro golfers. Give me Jordan Spieth.
That's a great one.
And Justin Thomas.
Okay.
Best friends, grew up playing against each other. The shit talk would be great.
That's fair.
Because they both do it well. Give me those 2, and then give me.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Do you think we could ever get Michael Jordan to do one? You think he's too old? Because Michael was a scratch golfer to begin with.
He was. If Tiger asks him, I don't think he turns him down.
I feel like that would be the most fun to watch. You know how competitive Mike gets?
See, now the problem with that is I don't know if it's. Here's the thing. The fanboy in me wants them in the same pairing. Like, I want Michael and Tiger on the same team. But
they would lose.
Better TV-wise, it's better if they're an opposite.
Oh, if they're going against each other?
Yes.
But could you imagine having Michael and Tiger versus like a Steph Curry and a Jordan Spieth? Steph and Jordan would kill him. It'd be hilarious to watch. They'd kill him.
Bro, I don't know about that, dude.
They'd kill him.
You're just counting Tiger like that?
Tiger's just not what he was, bro.
Yeah, but this isn't a
Jordan's. Yeah, I get it.
This isn't a 7,500 yard like.
You're just talking about 18 holes.
Yeah, dude. Like on a course that they kind of make wide open to not embarrass like the
That's
other
fair.
people. No, for me, if Michael and Tiger agree to do it on the same course,
I love it. Brandon Fitzer gave a great one.
What do you say?
John Daly and Charles Barkley versus Tiger MJ.
That's a shit show, dude.
That would be so funny because Barkley and Jordan still haven't talked.
See
That's the fun part of it.
that's where you go.
That's great.
That's where you go. Tiger and Barkley
Oh, on the same team?
versus Jordan and like Justin Thomas.
Okay. I think it's
Or you bring Phil back, like whatever. That is like it'll go back on pay-per-view if they do that, probably.
Oh, man. I just wanted to bring the match up because it was happening right now as we were talking.
Yeah,
And I wanted to
that was my fault. I actually thought it was next week, so I planned on talking about it this week, and it was actually tonight. So obviously we couldn't preview it.
It's weird because I'm checking for updates constantly as Mahomes and Allen take the lead.
Ooh,
but I think Mahomes and Allen win this one, bro.
I
think Rodgers isn't that good.
He's not bad. I think he's
an overrated golfer.
Yeah. I could say that because I don't think he's an overrated quarterback as in like skill wise. I think he's overrated as a human being and a teammate.
All right, well, it's 9:30. I want to get into the Phillies debacle. I feel like that's what we really need to get into. It's for us Phillies fans that are listening.
I need blood pressure medication.
Chug a beer before every tee shot. John and Chuck would dominate. I love it.
They came back and won.
The Phillies won it?
6-5.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
It's funny because we're talking about how much of an embarrassment they've been, and they're down 5-2. I'm like, this is playing in perfectly. And, of course, they come back and win.
Wow.
Who had a big home run?
Schwarber.
I knew it. Free run?
2.
Okay.
But I saw the highlight of it on Twitter real quick. It was like on your front foot fooled home run, and it just kind of like ran into the barrel and went out type deal.
Ran into the barrel?
Yeah. It was kind of like, oh, he thought it was a fastball, was out on his front foot, and just kind of like, and then brought the bat through the zone and just barreled it. So
I need to make something very clear.
He's still hitting 192.
No, I need to make something very clear. I don't know how in our right minds we all sat here on it. I think I allowed you and Contrell to talk me into it. This Phillies team is built so fundamentally wrong. All you have to do is look at the team that plays us in our same division that's just a little 100 miles north of us, the New York Mets, to understand how to build a baseball team.
Build's a strong word there.
Okay. Buy a baseball team.
Buy's better.
We have $260 million payroll too, bro.
I get it. Theirs is going to be like $400 million in a couple years.
Okay, so my point being is, just follow me real quick.
Go ahead.
What do the Phillies do well?
When it's all said and done,
as a whole, collectively,
it's going to look like they have a good offense because when it's all said and done,
you can break it down. Just say hit for power.
I mean, they don't do that great though.
They hit for power well
when they do it. My point. It's kind of what I was getting at. Like at the end of the year, they're going to score a ton of runs, and you're like, oh, all right, so they average like 6 runs a game. But that doesn't tell the whole
13 and 1, 1 in the other.
Correct.
I get it.
So it doesn't tell that story.
So it's a setup. What do the Phillies do well? And the answer is hit for power.
Yeah.
And then you put a period at the end of it, and that's the end of the answer. They don't do anything else well. They're probably, if they're not the slowest team in baseball, they're one of the slowest teams in baseball. If they're not the worst bullpen in baseball, they're one of the worst bullpens in baseball.
They're 27th or 28th again.
If they're not the worst batting average team in baseball, they're one of the worst batting average teams in baseball.
Well, actually,
if they're not the worst defensive team in baseball, they're one of the worst defensive teams in baseball. Their starting pitching is average in the 10 to 20 range, 11 to probably 12 to 17 range. They're literally middle of the pack.
For what?
Starting pitching.
Hitting wise, they're actually the 11th ranked team in the league.
I just said that.
You said the bottom. They're 11th.
Hitting for average?
Yeah.
Really?
As a team, they're 244.
That's not good.
Number 1 is the Mets, 268. You gotta remember that encompasses everybody.
I get it.
Pitching, this won't take long.
I just think the Phillies are fundamentally built wrong. Can you check defensive stats for me? Should have had this prepared.
Let's see.
I can't. The Phillies just drive me up a wall. And Joe Girardi stinks. Stinks.
He
Stinks.
I will tell you this. He's made some bad decisions this year. I will also tell you, I know for a fact we lead the league in blown saves already, which is, again, astounding. Shocked. It's sarcasm if you can't tell.
192, Schwarber leading off. Rhys Hoskins batting at 222. Castellanos normally bats 4 for you because Harper bats 3. He's batting 300, Harper. Castellanos is batting 256, and that's on the rise. Real Muto's batting 247. Bohm, who was batting 500 in April, right? Batting 263. Mickey Moniak's batting 120.
He's got like 6 at bats.
Odubel's batting 274. Camargo, 240.
I mean, losing Didi didn't help. We now lost Segura, who was
Our whole middle infield.
Yeah, our whole middle infield's in DL. Didi started rehab tonight, actually, in the Lehigh Valley, so he's going to be close. Stott's back up. They sent, what's-his-face back down? Quinn, that abomination.
Maton homer, too. Big homer.
There you go.
Good job, Maton.
Listen, on paper, it looks good. It's a bunch of names everybody knows, and, again, it's at the end of the year, you're going to see everybody's final stats, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't understand. You know, we're gonna with 4 or 5 guys that have 70, 75 RBIs. Like, they're going to be at the top of the league for all that. But again, it's not when you break it down per game, and you're like, oh, like Castellanos had 90 RBIs, and this, and this. But when he has a good night and has 4, and nobody else has any, that means probably lost game.
So I'm going to read out the stats because I love these. Not stats, the comments. Chris Cargan, Girardi stays another day because they won today. Paul Gravitt, who's he's a Braves fan. All that money for so much disappointment. I love it. Every year as a Braves fan, I worry about the Phillies at the start of the year, and every year I'm proven wrong.
Paul's got plenty to worry about his own team right now. So
Don McPherson, my man Don.
Donnie.
They lose well.
They do lose well.
They lose well. Different ways.
They're good at it.
Ryan Kearns. Noah has got to go.
I have been one of the loudest people beating their chest for the last 3 years about how Aaron Nola's not a true number one. And I will be adamant with that. Saying you have to trade him, my little guy, I don't agree with that. He's still our second best pitcher. And his last 3 starts, he was lights out before tonight. So,
Hoskins has got to go. Chris Cargan.
Cool. I'll drive him to the airport.
And then he says, Segura, your biggest trade chip, breaks his finger because he doesn't know how to bunt.
I mean,
are the Phillies not a mess, though?
I mean, they're mess right now because they're hurting their bullpen stinks. It's kind of was getting the Girardi thing. Like, he's definitely made some decisions I've screamed at my TV about. There's other times, dude, he's absolutely done the right thing. And, I mean, we've 10 or 11 blown saves already, dude. Like, that's crazy. That early in the season. Give us those 10 or 11 wins, and we're 3 games out. Like, that's the shit. Like, that's what bothers me, especially in baseball. If I'm handing you the ball and you're supposed to be our closer.
It's not the closer always blown.
It's not. I'm agreeing it's not. My point is, you don't have a guy to hand the freaking ball to right now.
That's not what you signed Knable to do.
Right, so who's our closer? That's my point. Like, you could again, when you make bonehead substitutions, or you call a hit and run or a steal or whatever, and you do certain things like that, that's cool. Lay all that stuff at Girardi's feet. When you give him a bullpen, which is full of everybody outside of Alvarado and Sir Anthony are a bunch of schlups. My point is,
Sir Anthony should be your closer. I hate
that
they don't do this.
But they're saying he's not ready. Listen, dude, I'm not involved in this discussion.
I'm tired of I don't pitch people 3 days in a row, even if they have 7 pitches, and then he pitches Familia 3 days in a row and says he only had 11 pitches, but didn't pitch Knable, and he pitched to some guy's not even with the team anymore. Who's that kid they pitched? Tommy Thompson or what the fuck? I don't know the guy's name. He's pitching the 9th inning.
It's part of the problem. It's they don't have a closer. And don't say that, like the Knable thing. That is why they gave Knable that money.
Yeah,
to turn him into a closer. He's failed epically. So when you walk out and you hand the ball to this dude with a 5-3 lead in the ninth, and he blows a save,
You know who's been actually surprisingly good?
That's not on Girardi.
You know who's been surprisingly good? Brad Hand.
Yeah, but like
He's just not good in the ninth inning.
He's a specialist. That's what he's, and that's fine. I'm fine with him. But you don't have a guy that you can confidently walk out in a one-run game, give him the ball, and say this game's over. And all the good teams have one. We don't. And that's again, like we were talking about, like,
Can I ask you a question?
like Familia. We lit that dude up for the last 5 years as a Met.
And we signed him.
So what's our solution? Let's give him a bunch of fucking money. Like, what do you think?
We didn't give him much.
He shouldn't be on the roster. Like, that's what I mean. Like, those are the bullpen moves we made this year to improve the team.
Knable, Hand.
It was over here. It was like, oh, look at all the shiny.
Alvarado.
Give me the Schwarbers.
On paper, it doesn't sound terrible. Knable, Hand, Alvarado, Sir Anthony, Familia. Familia being your fifth guy is not
Alvarado
the worst
is literally Jacqueline Hyde. He either comes in and looks like a baby Chapman, or he comes in and looks like he started throwing pitches 2 days ago.
Yep.
Hand's great, but
Sir Anthony needs to be your closer.
They're going slow with him. People have to realize he's literally on his third year rehab from elbow stuff.
I know.
Like, they're not going to put him in and be like, hey, go pump 95.
He's the best pitcher in that ball.
I don't disagree
and
with you.
And if you're not going to do
100%.
that, then what you need to do, and I have an idea, because I've been I find a fifth arm, and I take Ranger Suarez's ass, and I put him back in the bullpen, and I make him my ninth inning guy. Because if you watch Ranger Suarez, the first time through the order, he's fine. The problem with Ranger Suarez is 4 1/3, and then the fifth inning, he just can't get out of it.
Yeah.
His velocity drops. Like, just let him pitch 1 inning, let him throw 98.
Again, I mean, it might be something to go to, but I mean, they don't have the rotation to do that right now either. I mean, you have Wheeler and you have Nola, and then
Eflin's not pitching bad.
not pitching bad. He's not pitching great.
Gibson's not pitching bad.
They are what they are, dude. They're going to be 500 pitchers with ERAs over 4. That just it just is what it is. I mean, I've had
Talking about blown saves, and you want to fix the bullpen.
I'm not disagreeing on that point, but my point is, like, the Girardi thing. Some of it
stinks.
Some of it's deserved. Some of it's not. When you've 11 blown saves, dude, that's not on the manager.
It is if he's throwing Yulin.
Who else is he supposed to throw in? That's my point. Let's stop acting.
Could have threw Alvarado that night.
Let's not stop acting like we have Chapman or somebody like out there, and he's like, nah, you know what, dude, I'm not bringing that guy in. I'm going to bring somebody else in. And then that guy blows the save. He's literally handed the ball to every freaking dude in that bullpen, and not one of those guys can get it done. Not one of them.
I gotta read these. This is too good. Paul Gravitt, thank you on the wire line. Braves have the same record they did through 51 games last season. I don't think the Braves are playing well at all, but I'll take the Braves' current situation over the Phillies, and it's not close. I agree. Chris Cargan, Brad Hand should be the closer. He's been our best pitcher so far. I disagree. I think Brad Hand's a specialist. I think when you see him in the ninth inning versus right-handed, especially right-handed power hitters, you're going to see exactly why he's not a closer.
Correct. 100% correct.
Paul Gravitt, nothing drives me crazy than blowing 3+ run leads. After the 6th inning, solid relievers are hit and miss these days. Chris Cargan, part of the problem is pinch hitting Roman Quinn for Castellanos and then keeping Quinn in the game for Castellanos.
Now, see that
one?
one?
Your 4-hole hitter. Quinn shouldn't be on a big league roster.
You want to put something on Girardi? That player right there is number one. He has an absolute hard-on for Roman Quinn. Roman Quinn is what he is. He's a guy that can slap the ball. If you put him on base, he'll steal a couple bases. He's going to pull his hamstring in 3 hours, and then he's freaking.
Do you know what I would use Roman Quinn to do? After Castellanos' last at bat, he'd be my defensive replacement in the outfield. And if Castellanos gets on, I would have him run for him.
Fine.
That's what I would do for Roman Quinn.
Don't disagree.
Every single night. He would never start, and he would never bat if he needed to bat.
I agree. But Roman Quinn is absolutely somebody that I will blame Girardi for.
I've got to sweat each night with the combo of Will Smith and Kenley Jansen. They're a walking mini stroke for fans.
You can say that, dude, but Kenley
I'll
Jansen.
take Kenley Jansen over what we have here.
Send him the fuck over, dude. He gets 40 saves every year. I'll take him.
Any final comments on the Phillies?
Yeah, they drive me nuts.
They drive me nuts too.
They're gonna be around 500. That's what they're gonna be.
So
They gotta get healthy.
2 months through the baseball season, who's your World Series winner? Give me your World Series now.
Based off like what we've seen,
Yes. I think the NLCS is already set in stone.
it's hard not to go.
Dodgers, Mets.
Yeah.
NLCS.
And then
The Mets are pitching with the Mets are playing without 3 of their starting 5 rotation.
well, and the 2 of them are top 5 pitchers in the league. Yeah, I mean it's Dodgers. It's probably Dodgers, Yankees.
I have Mets and I don't have the Yankees.
I mean, as of right now, with everybody healthy, I mean, I think the Yankees have enough right now. I know that's not going to be the case 3 months from now.
Well, I'm asking you what your World Series prediction would be.
Right now, that's probably it. I'd probably go Dodgers. I still like the Dodgers lineup more than I like the Mets. I think their pitching can get through the Mets lineup easier than the other way around.
Okay.
Why? Who's yours?
I have the Mets. I think the Mets are gonna win the whole thing. I think they're built right. I think they play defense. I think the Mets are the best team in baseball.
Okay, but who's your team from the AL?
I still like Toronto, bro. I still think Toronto's the best team in baseball.
Bro, I mean, if you're gonna be honest, like I love like the hot start they got into. That team has holes. That team doesn't have enough pitching to get through that division.
I think the Yankees have the hot start. I just don't think they have the pitching to win the playoffs.
They didn't start hot actually. They were in 4th place at one point, like 3 or 4
Through
weeks in the
50
league.
games, they're 34-15. That would be considered a hot start.
Well, because they won
That's a third of the season.
Up until 2 weeks ago, they won 12 in a row. I mean, so that's obviously going to have a huge boost up the standings. They didn't start well though.
I'm still going Toronto.
Okay.
And I'm going the Mets over Toronto.
Listen, I don't want the Yankees to win. I just think the Yankees are a better team than Toronto is right now. I think Toronto
right now is not the question. The question is in September.
I think losing Ray Hurt and their pitching I don't think is where they thought it was going to be.
By the way, I had the Yankees, Toronto, and Tampa all making the playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, the Yankees, Toronto, and Tampa would all make the playoffs, with the third wild card being the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who've been falling off a little bit, but I've kind of been spot on with my AL predictions.
Long way to go.
Of course.
That's why people are so optimistic about baseball. Because as bad as it's been, you still turn around and be like, yeah, I mean, they have 110 games to go.
We have 2 more topics.
Do it.
We have Khamzat Chimaev versus Colby Covington. A lot is being talked about. It's not signed yet.
Not signed yet.
And we have the College World Series. Which way you want to go?
Let's do Chimaev, Colby first.
Okay, so actually, let's do the College World Series first, and I am going to send Mike a video to play when we get to Khamzat versus
The promo video?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, the 40th College Softball World Series starts tomorrow, actually. I think, is it 11 or is it 1? You just had to bracket up. Do you still have that?
No.
Well, it's either 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock. So, it is one of those things, like I said, it's grown in popularity year after year. Just signed another extension with ESPN. People love watching it, and I will completely raise my hand and tell you that I watch the hell out of it when I can. When I'm home, I will watch the games. I love watching the girls play. Watching some of them play at the levels they do, I think is incredible. So I'm looking forward to it. I know we're going to go into like picks and stuff here and a little bit of previews. Oklahoma is the number 1 seed. They're the team to beat. The numbers they put up this year were literally staggering. They have Jocelyn Aho on their team, who is the all-time leading home run hitter. All she does is hit bombs. But they also have balance. They have 4 girls on their team that have over 60 RBIs. The girl that hits right before has 24 home runs. Aho has 29. The craziest stat today that I heard, Oklahoma has 38 wins by run rule this year, which when you really factor in the conference they play in, Big 12, which is a very good softball conference, they have 38 wins by run rule. And then on top of all that,
I mean, Oklahoma's clearly the best team in college softball. It's not close.
No, the roster's stacked. I mean, listen,
they're minus 340 versus the field being plus 270.
But you're still talking about Division I sport. I mean,
I get it, but they're the best team.
Yeah, they are.
They're UConn women in college basketball. They are, right?
I mean, they are right now. I mean,
Okay, so I don't think they're going to win the whole thing.
historically, they're not. I mean, they just have a great team right now. Like Aho.
They won last year.
Yeah, but Aho and all those people graduate after this year. They had a bunch of girls that were still back, and then they had 3 huge pickups in the transfer portal. One was from Florida State. I think one was from Texas, and one was somewhere else. Like, the team's loaded. They're all gone after this year.
You have them winning, right?
I do. I think somebody has to get struck by lightning for it not to happen.
Okay, so
They have 32 shutouts this year.
they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I feel like the person that's pitching the best in college softball is Kelly Maxwell.
Pitching matters. Listen, Kelly Maxwell and Maggie Day are a great 1-2 punch.
Give me Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State has an easier road to get there. They don't have to go through UCLA. Obviously, they don't have to go through Oklahoma.
Well,
They've beaten Oklahoma already.
it's double elimination, so
I understand. But you're going to get Kelly Maxwell for at least one.
yeah.
And I just feel like they'll win that game. And I feel like they find a way to win the second.
That is most likely going to be the winner's bracket final. So the winner of that would go to the championship. The loser will go back
So
in.
if Kelly Maxwell wins the first game and then they get to sit, you might get her twice.
Well, I mean, we've seen it before. I mean, these girls are capable of pitching 130, 140 pitches back-to-back days. That is the one thing softball players have an advantage for. I mean, when you're throwing underhand, it's a little bit easier on the shoulder and the body. They can recoup quicker. And listen, man, these girls are workhorses too. Like, this is what they grew up doing. I mean, you give all the credit in the world to them. They're absolutely studs. Maxwell's very good. Listen, I have it, in my notes. If Oklahoma doesn't win it, I expect it to be Oklahoma State. They have, like you said, to their point, they know what it takes to beat them. They've beat them in-state rivals. That's going to be a matchup. That's going to be fun if we get there. So, Katie, my sister, avid softball fan, she has. Let me get this right so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah, you can't get yelled at. Katie will whoop your ass.
She took Oklahoma State, and her sleeper is Texas.
So she took Oklahoma State too.
Yes.
So she loves softball, and Jean's softball's got Oklahoma State too.
She also strongly hates Oklahoma.
That's fair.
So
It's like Duke thing for her.
Yes, correct.
That's fair. I got Oklahoma State.
Listen, I won't be shocked if there's one team there I think that can beat them. It's them.
I don't think UCLA can.
No.
I think everyone's talking about the 2 20-game winners that they have. I just don't think the conference is as strong as what Oklahoma plays.
The Pac-12's down a little bit this year, and
Oregon was good, but they got knocked out early. Oregon State is on a pretty good run, but I don't think the rest of that conference is really
the
that
traditional power. The 3 traditional powers in that conference are
Stanford,
UCLA. Well, if you give Stanford, that's 4. UCLA, Stanford, and then you have Washington and Arizona. Those are the 4 that it usually is. Stanford got knocked out in the Super Regionals. Oregon lost a lot from their team 2 years ago. They're young. They'll be really good next year. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, dude. And you know what? Every year we sit here and do this, and every year somebody upsets somebody. So nobody had Florida State in the finals last year, and they were an inning away from beating Oklahoma.
That was amazing.
So
it was actually fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. They finally got their heads on straight and gave the ladies an extra day off now too, which is nice. So after it's determined which 2 teams are going into the best of 3, there's a day off in between now, which is good.
That's good.
Well, it's good because again, the first game of that series, then you're gonna let everybody rest. You're gonna get the aces from both staffs. So again, you're really giving a fair, competition.
So when it gets to the finals, it's best of 3.
Yep.
Even if the team that's in the winner's bracket doesn't lose,
Correct.
they still have to play best of 3.
Best of 3. The finals is best of 3. They went to that a couple years ago.
I feel like that's.
Well,
I don't know why I'm arguing that.
If you get to the winners bracket final, which will be, Thursday?
You win the winners bracket final.
You get to sit for 3 days. So I mean, you want to win that. There is an advantage to it. You get to rest for 3 days.
Okay. Do me a favor, Mike. Play the promo. I need music. I need sound on for this, though.
We need it all.
Tomorrow and said, hey, you and Shemaev, would that interest you at all?
You want to bring the hype machine behind these kids and think they're great and they can do this and that. That hype machine will get halted in a second if they come see Colby Chaos Covington.
I am big on the idea of Shemaev versus Colby. Love it. That's one that I would mark my calendar. I'd count down the days. That is an interesting match.
I would love to see Chimaev versus Colby Covington.
100%.
Main event on ABC. I mean, could you imagine the build-up for that fight? I mean, you know Colby brings the heat when it comes to the build-up to these fights, and Khamzat is just the hottest prospect we have seen since Conor McGregor.
This kid is extremely confident. He knows what he can do. He knows what he's capable of. And more importantly, he goes in and he does it.
I'm going to be pound for pound #1. I'm going to be champion. I'm born for that. My life is to be champion.
He's a finisher. Like, he is going to kill you.
Khamzat Chimaev is a bum. You think Chimaev has a chance against me?
Colby Covington is a fucking nightmare. He's a nightmare for everybody in the division. This guy's stomping world-class fighters. I mean, stomping them.
I'm going to take everything from this UFC, brother. Now, I am UFC, brother.
If they came.
So I think that trailer is amazing, but I feel like I need that site signed. And Colby turned it down May 1st. And now the pressure's coming more and more because there's no fights. And Dana says he thinks he can make that fight happen. Because Nate Diaz turned down the fight with Khamzat.
I mean, I don't want to see that fight. So
No, neither do I.
Nobody does.
So the fight I think everyone in that division wants to see is Khamzat versus Colby.
I said it before. I mean, it makes sense for him. I guess if you're really Colby, I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for per se. I mean, you just beat Jorge. You're not getting another shot.
I just don't like that he acts like some young guy on the hype train. He just beat Gilbert Burns. It's not like he's some young guy on the hype train. He just beat the #2 ranked.
Oh, no. I get it. I'm just saying I don't know what Colby thinks is best for him next anyway. So my point is you're not getting Usman so anytime soon. Like that's done and over with. We're done there.
Usman's going to fight Leon.
Yeah. So
Khamzat fights Colby.
I think he gets done.
Who do you think wins? I think you said this right. I think you said Colby's going to win.
I understand Gilbert's good. Colby's better. It's still another step up. And not that he looked vulnerable or anything like that, but again, we all agreed on the show. It was concerning yet encouraging in the same way. It was concerning that he definitely didn't dominate like he had been. But again, we're all agreeing that Gilbert Burns is a huge step up for him. But it was also encouraging to see that he had that other gear to go to.
My point to that would be, and I just want to respond to that and I'll let you finish. But my point to that would be, Gilbert and Khamzat were in an absolute slugfest. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Khamzat and Colby will be in a slugfest. My question would be, whose wrestling and grappling do you trust more? Because that's what that match is going to be.
I think it has to be that because Colby isn't a brawler in that sense. Colby's a very technical striker. If you try to get in front of him and fight him how he fought Gilbert Burns, Colby will pick him apart. And that's how he loses the fight. I agree with you. If he can take him down and get on top of him, that's bad news for Colby. Like that, and I don't know if Colby wins that fight.
You think Colby would stand with Khamzat and pick him apart?
This is where me and Cottrell agreed and you disagreed. Colby's striking is absolutely better than his. Power-wise, maybe not. Technically, clean-wise, it absolutely is.
No chance.
He's a better technical striker. You can say that. That's what you said last time we talked about it.
No chance. I think the only chance Colby has in this fight is to out-wrestle Khamzat. The only chance. And let me add this. If he survives 3 rounds and Khamzat's cardio isn't as good as I think it is, then the cardio machine of Chaos Covington could wear on Khamzat. But I think that there's 0 chance that Khamzat is behind after 3 rounds of that fight. 0. Like, I don't even mean like 1, not even 0.5%. I think there's 0 chance that Khamzat's behind on his scorecard after 3 rounds.
That's kind of a loaded statement, though. Because, like, you could say he's not behind, but, like, if he's up 3-0, that's one thing. If he's up 2-1 going
to the fourth round,
that's a totally different fight.
That's the argument. I agree with you. That's your argument for Colby.
I think Colby can win the fight.
Can win the fight. Do you think he wins the fight?
I
guess we'll talk about it more when it gets signed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get, like, blasted into this like we did last time. I'm just with you, though. Like, again, you watch that video, like, that is a fight everybody wants to see.
Everyone.
If there's one thing that Dana is very good at, and we've seen it in the past, He doesn't necessarily go by rankings and so forth and so on. He's very good at knowing who his hot fighters are and pushing them. Khamzat is definitely that. Colby is the guy that everybody loves to hate. I mean, he does have real fans, but majority of people want to see Colby lose. And the lead up to that is going to be nuts. I will be curious to see how the trash talking in that goes if it gets signed, though.
I kill you.
I mean, he's going to say that a lot, but I mean, again, dude, like Colby,
but see, you know what
Colby has pushed the buttons of better people and gotten under skin.
100%.
If you don't think he will get to him a little bit, because he will.
So
he turned Jorge into a crazy person.
My question for you would be, do you remember Khamzat's comments after the Gilbert Burns fight saying it was tough for him to beat him because he has a family and he liked him? He's genuinely a good person.
Vaguely something like that, yeah.
I don't think he'll have that issue with Colby at all.
No. I mean, listen, the hype for that fight came out of his camp. Like, they wanted Colby. I never heard Colby calling for him. I'm not saying Colby's afraid of him or anything like that, but like that was obviously they're like, hey, if we get through tonight, we beat Gilbert Burns, we want Colby. Like that was
they wanted Usman. That's what they asked for.
Yeah, well, they're not getting him yet.
I get it, but if you beat Colby, you're gonna get Usman next.
If he beats Colby and Usman beats Leon like we expect he's going to, that is absolutely the next fight. I also think that's probably the end of the road for him, but we'll see.
All right, let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me.
Alrighty. I guess I go first this week.
Yeah.
Cottrell bailed. Just kidding. I'm going with the PGA Tour, and I'm going with the PGA Tour for this reason. I'm tired of them bringing politics into golf. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there's a new Saudi league being funded by a bunch of Saudi Arabian businessmen / royal family people, so forth and so on. They're putting up huge prize monies for people to go golf over in their league. They're just trying to start another tour to rival the PGA Tour a little bit. Here's two things why it's hypocritical to me. If you have any kind of idea of what our relationship with Saudi Arabia is as a country, like we need to stop like making it sound like Phil Mickelson's comments and some American golfers wanting to go golf on their tour is some horrible, horrible thing, because it's not. Everybody keeps mentioning Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist that got killed. Killed is probably a soft word for what they did for him, but and how we did nothing about it. I'm going to tell you why we did nothing about it. We did nothing about it because at the time we were on the verge of signing a huge weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. And that's why Donald Trump decided not to punish him, because he didn't want to walk away from it. So, yes, this isn't a Donald Trump slam thing. I'm just telling you, it's just another example. We do major, major, major business with Saudi Arabia in this country. So let's just stop making it like this is about golf, because it's not. It's nothing to do with golf, all right? We furnish them all their guns. We buy their oil. They buy other things from us. Let's just call this what it is. Like, Phil maybe shouldn't have said what he said, but what he said is really not that wrong either, and I'll tell you why. The PGA Tour used to have a competing tour. It was called the European Tour. And how come back then, if you played on the European Tour, you could play on the PGA Tour too at the same time, and nobody cared. Why did that change? Because the PGA Tour bought the European Tour, and now they own it. That was some of the things that Phil Mickelson was talking about. I don't care. I don't agree with the politics. I'll be 100% upfront and honest with that. Like when he was killed, there should have been repercussions for it. I'm not making this a political argument. But what I'm saying is, they're golfers. If they want to go golf in another event, let them go golf in another event. Like, who the hell cares? Let's stop acting like we're all righteous about all this. And that's what we're doing, and that's the crap I cannot stand. So for this week, it's the PGA Tour and banning people from playing on another tour. Mike's asleep in the booth.
Thanks, Mike.
Good job, Mike.
Hewitt. He doesn't have it. Come on, you got to be kidding me.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
There you go. Now give one to yourself for being 4 minutes late.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
Thank you.
Mine's pretty simple. Mine is Tommy Pham. If you didn't know, Tommy Pham just had a 3-game suspension by Major League Baseball for smacking Jock Peterson. Tommy Pham smacked Jock Peterson not because of an incident in the game. There was no fight. There was no argument that ensued between two teams. Tommy Pham walked out to the outfield during warm-ups and smacked Jock Peterson in the face over fantasy football. Tommy Pham called Jock Peterson a cheater in fantasy football and smacked him. And an argument ensued, and he smacked him in the outfield. Which makes this even more funny is that Mike Trout is the commissioner of the league, and he's being asked about it. The best player in baseball is being asked about. Yeah, what you gonna commissioner fantasy football again this year after all this stuff that's going on? I think it's hilarious, but I also think Tommy Pham needs to understand he's a professional baseball player, and smacking someone in the face over fantasy football is not in your best interest. Tommy Pham is not a household name.
No.
He's not Jock Peterson.
Nope.
He's not Mike Trout.
No.
And he cannot be in the major leagues really quick. So with that said, this week, Tommy Pham.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I was going to bring that up when we were talking about the match, but I didn't want to steal it because I was like, that would actually be. I was thinking of baseball players that had beef.
Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham, Jock Peterson.
They don't play golf though.
No, I mean, I'm sure they do.
How about the Rangers kicking butt?
The score?
It was 4-2.
Oh, 4-2. I say it was 2-2 last time I looked.
It's 4-2 Rangers. I won't give you an update on the match because I know you're going home to watch it.
The weird thing about that series is I believe the Rangers swept them this year. Tampa Bay didn't win a game against them.
Bro, I feel like the Rangers are a team of destiny. But with that said, it was a fun show. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I mean, next week we get more UFC talk. We get the final leg of the Triple Crown, some more pony picks. And
I have one final thought.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have heard this yet, but I'm saying it. If you're local to the Warrington area, if you're a female softball player or a male over the age of 50 years old,
52.
They're trying to have an Eddie one-pitch tournament. Sign up to be a manager so we can get this started. We really want. I think that it's great that Softball America is doing that, and I'll give a shameless plug, but also call out all you girls and all you men over 52 years old to become managers so we can get enough tandems so we can get a draft started. So with that, that's all I got this week. We are Wire to Wire is signing out. We'll have Control back next week.